bastards! Today I want to talk about non-comeback, or with another name, perhaps it's better called a refugee bag. This is the this is a bag that one would use in case of a bug out where you know you won't be coming home from. You won't be coming home. You can never return. About what kind of situations do we think? We think about civil war, total war, um, perhaps radioactive a nuclear accident or attack, perhaps. Yeah, although a big disaster that will make you never that will make it clear that you're never going home again. And to be honest, this is also the sort of situation where where you cannot just go to a bug out location that you previously chosen, or with family or friends that live in a safe area. So there is no way you can go somewhere. Otherwise, you would just use a regular, like you can see. This is not this is like a bug out bag, but much more built out. So if you don't have a bug out location, if you cannot go anywhere else to a safe location with friends, family, then and you can never return home, then you can build out a non-com bag or refugee bag. Like you can see, I'm fairly dressed up. Why? To show you how much stuff one can take with the non-com bag. That is just to show not on the today we will focus on the bag, but just want to mention, if you're going on a bug out where you're never going to turn back from, it's better to have some sort of transportation that you can carry more, and you don't need fuel. So the best thing is a bug out bike with a cart behind it, so you can take extra supplies, tools with you, so you can survive longer, or just have enough resources till you find a place to settle. Because that's in this sort of situation where you do not come back. That's the end game. Try to find a safe place to settle. We all saw images of refugees from Syria, civil wars in Africa, or the Middle East, where where millions of people are on the run trying to find a new future, to say, because they know they will never go back, like people from Syria who would not could go back because of the civil war and ISIS. So that's something to think about. And never think that it could not happen to you, because it could happen anywhere. It's in Europe. It could happen during World War II, for example. So never say never. So that is just an idea. So if you don't have a bug out bike with a cart, or just a cart that you can pull like behind you, with you, then you can take, then you have to use less supplies and tools. So this bag is designed to make the most with the littlest. With this bag I can survive a very long time. I'm talking about months upon months in rural areas. A city is more problematic, but that is suited for the areas where I live in, like the countryside of Belgium. So with this thing I can survive months in the open out there, without needing some sort of help, to say. So in that time I would probably have found evacuation zone, a refugee point, perhaps got into ask asylum in another country if I had to. So alright, so let's now talk about the bag. First of all, why do I wear so much clothes? Because just to show you how much stuff a person can carry if you have to go on by foot. Let's start with this. If you wonder what this is, that is not necessarily, but it's a good point. Like I said, if you're going to be a long time in rural areas, perhaps it's good to have some sort of way, and let's keep it fair, something to hunt and to defend yourself. I will open it. The reason why I put a shamak around it is, if I was a refugee, I will put this back on. If I was a refugee, you would not directly think this is a gun, that you're not being stopped by authorities like police or military, and even if you are stopped, let's say rule of law is mostly gone if there is a situation where you need to evacuate like this. But yet again, in war zones it can be dangerous to carry a weapon around. So it's on your own judgment, but it's just an idea that I had. This is just an air rifle. Why an air rifle? First of all, if you do get stopped by authorities or people, they will more likely let you off or not see you as that big of a threat if they know you got an air rifle instead of a real gun, because real guns can be seen as a big threat, or like bandits, robbers. So yeah, and it is actually ideal for hunting small game, for self-defense, and what I also like is you can take a lot of ammo with this. You can take like hundreds of pellets instead of hundreds of bullets with a real rifle, which will be a lot of weight. So an air rifle is perhaps a good idea for food, hunting, self-defense, and just to be in order by the law, because perhaps it's more being seen as less of a crime if you transport an air rifle instead of a real gun. So the reason, yet again, this is a shamak that's supposed to be in the bag, but I used it to camouflage the gun for not to be stopped by authorities, or you can just carry it around your neck, or as a shamak headband. So a shamak has like if you look in the video of 55 uses plus for a shamak, you will see that this thing has a lot of utilities, and it's very versatile and multifunctional. So the trusty shamak, I would say look it up in one of my videos about all the uses of a shamak. This should always be in your non-com bag. So look at that video up for the more uses. All right, I will open this real quick. So let's go from top to down and go dig deeper into this all. And first of all, I wear everything in the climate for Belgium, where it could get cold, wet. So a jacket. You can use a bug out jacket, like I would suggest look in the video of bug out jacket, and then you can see what's the use of this. First of all, to keep you warm, out of wind, keep you dry during rain, and more of all, if I would lose the bag because I get robbed, or there is theft, or I lose the bag during a crossing a river or something, then at least I would still have the bug out jacket with all the basic tools to survive. So that's a good thing about a bug out bag. Alright, first I'm gonna take these off. Something very important is gloves. These are the gloves to keep you warm, which can be handy if you're going to stay in your shelter in the rural country, if you cannot find a abandoned building or a structure to sleep in, or if you just have a tent. It can be very handy to have something to warm your hands up. Like you can see, these are Swiss Army, how do you say this? Swiss Army gloves. And like you can see, this has these are one of the best gloves I ever had. These are against freezing temperatures, so they're well isolated. These are waterproof, everything, and they got a tactical trigger finger. Just you can use them just as a regular glove or mitten, and you can put your finger inside of this and operate smaller things that you need to do with more precision, like a grip or get something from your pockets. So good gloves are a must in a non-com bag. Non-com bag, if you get my drift. All right, next, this is a balaclava. As you can see, I know I look like a robber, but I do this all the time when it's cold, if I go to my work, and I see people always having a red face and a face that makes them then show that it's very cold. But if I wore this, even if people look at me, I'm at least very warm. My head is only being cold around the lips and a bit around the eyes, but if you just use it as a hat, your face would get really cold really fast. But it's versatile. That's what I mean with the non-com bag. You can just use this as a hat or in the night as a balaclava for your face to keep warm during the night. Very important, right? So, yeah, first I'm gonna empty my pockets. You can do several things to take more stuff with you. If you can see, always have very good boots because you're going to walk for a very long time. If you're not going home, so good shoes for long to go long distances. Very good. Replace the strings with paracord. So even if you have more shoelaces or uses with other pieces of rope to build shelter perhaps. So that way you can make your shoes multifunctional. Good pants, very important. Pants that are sturdy, have a lot of pockets, which is very important because you will not buy pants that easily in a disaster like that. So sturdy pants that can withstand some grinding against hard floors, will not tear with big movements that you will probably make. So it will not tear that easily. So that's very handy. Right, let's open like you can see. These are, this is one of the, I will not go in a certain row with all this stuff. So it will be a little bit confusing and go through each other with all the items, but it's the way that it is. So these are several different of maps, geographical maps, topical maps, road maps, and even maps from the countries around where I live. So these are packed in plastic so they don't get wet when I fall in water or it rains hard or damp in the night. So have a lot of maps, very important. You can take a GPS, but yet again, I'm talking about long term. A map will go much longer than some electrical device that probably runs on batteries that will run down or break. So, and you always need to recharge in a way. So, paper maps in plastic, very important for long term. Fine, I will start with this. Yeah, I'll start with this. Another thing is, this is not necessarily, but if there is a situation, I would go to an evacuation point. Never come back. Probably hundreds of other people will do it. So criminals and desperate people will be on the lookout for people who have prepared, have resources, money, and are more likely to be robbed or be theft. So I want something to defend myself, and in this case, it's a revolver. This is a blank revolver, so it doesn't really shoot. So it's more a deterrent, just because I don't want to kill other people and de-escalate situations. So, and if authorities caught you, you will get a lesser sentence in that way. So a blank pistol, revolver, very handy, but not necessarily, and do it on your own risk, because if you get caught with these, it can be a mess. Another self-defense weapon is perhaps less inspicable, but this is a bottle of hand gel which I put my own pepper spray recepting with pigments, Carolina Reapers, alcohol, and a little bit water. So if somebody wants to rob me, I can squirt some makeshift pepper spray in his face, and authorities will not look that good if they see that this is in a bottle of hand gel. So self-defense, very important. Emergency blankets with some bandages, just like I said, bug-out jacket and bug-out pants apparently. So you will have always something to keep you warm or to signal with it. And yeah, it's not that long term, but you can build a piece of shelter out of it, or in emergency situations. Just a wallet, because yeah, you will need your identity card, perhaps your credit cards, and some cash on hand. So just take your wallet with you, can never hurt. Multi-tool, always keep a multi-tool in your pockets. Just a trusty multi-tool and it will go along. A multi-tool is going to be doing hundreds of sorts of repairs that you can do when you need to go live longer in the outside, to say. So multi-tool is one of the most important tools you can have. Always keep it on your body and not in your bag, because if it gets stolen with this, you have at least a chance to survive a bit longer. Alright, I will open this. And with the maps, of course, there is a need for a compass. This is one of those rescue compasses, so it has everything. It has a mirror, some how do you say this? Glass that you can magnifier. That's the word. A compass, magnifier, a steel rod to make fire with, and yeah, a little lamp. So this is a multi-tool that you can use for longer time. So yeah, that's something good. You can put this down from it. You can put more in those in everything in your bag, but I choose not to, because yeah, I just want to talk to the most basic stuff that you need to survive for longer periods of times. So if you want, you can you can stuff this full with more little pieces of tools or supplies, or like I said before, you can ride with a bug-out bike with a cart behind it. So all right, I will take this off because it's getting a little bit warm. Yes, this is one of the things. Now I wear everything, but if it was summer, I could hang everything on my back so I would burn, because you will need everything. Another thing I want to show you is under the jacket, always keep a woolen sweater. Why a woolen sweater? Because wool will keep isolating and keep warm in, even if it's wet by sweat, rain, snow, or falling into water. So that's why I would prefer clothes with. I also got woolen socks. If you can see, perhaps. Woolen socks, woolen sweater, and that way you will. These are more fabrics that will last longer and will keep you warm in every sort of situation. So always, if you're going to with a non-combat, put a woolen sweater in it or wear it one. All right, I will perhaps put this off, make it more easier. All right, now we're going to open the bag. And we will take a look at the contents with step by step. First of all, here on the sides, this is a lightweight sleeping bag tent. What's good about this? This is just like a sleeping bag that you can pull up, and it's like a mix with a tent and a sleeping bag. So it's very light, it's very low profile, so you can hide better in more open areas or forests with this. So and you can set it up very fast and take it down very fast too. So I would suggest something like this and not a whole tent, because that's take more time to set up, although it could be a more fixed shelter, but I prefer this, and it is only for one person. That comes with that goes into this bag, so it can be very handy and it's lightweight. All right. Next thing you can see, a tourniquet, which I attach to my bug-out bag on the outside. So if I fall or get hit by something or are cut by our aggressor, I can take this immediately from my bag, and if I got a serious bleeding, I can put a tourniquet on it. So a tourniquet on the outside of your non-com bag, very important, and this could be a lifesaver. Because don't forget, you will not have professional medical supplies with you on this sort of scenario. And next part, very important, water. This is a canteen from a German army. Like you can see, it has multiple layers, and it has multifunctional. It has a standard metal bottle, water bottle for in the fields. This is very good, because if you want to boil water, you can do it with this and boil water in the metal field bottle. Never take an insulated bottle, because then you cannot cook the water that's inside of this. And like you can see, these are two how do we say this? Camels, eating irons, where you can boil water in or cook food in it. We'll come to that later, but I prefer this thing. It's from 66, 67, and it still functions as well. So it's a very durable piece of tool, this German army canteen. So always have this with you, and you can put it in the side. It's very compact, and it fits in the side of your bag bag. So even when I'm walking, I can just put it in and put it out very easily. All right. Next. Notice that the things that I use most, that I probably would use the most, is something that I always keep on the outside or on my body, just so I don't have to put everything I need every time I need to do some action or a repair or something else. I don't need to put the bag down, open it up, look for the thing, and get it out. So the most important thing is keep it always on the outside. Just like this. This is a rain poncho. It's in a camouflage color, so that could be handy for if you want to keep a low profile, keep it over you, and it acts like some sort of camouflage. You can also sit on it on a dirty or wet ground if you're resting. Of course, against rain, snow, wind, if it's very windy and cold. Always use a rain poncho of good quality, because it will have to go a long way, and so far it's been very sturdy, this one. It's a very thick one, a little bit more heavier, but like I said, we're going for the long term in this sort of situation. So, rain poncho. Yeah, the little multi-tool that I forgot. Alright, how do we go? We'll go from beneath to above. This is a kit that contains several things. It contains, first of all, money, some reserve ammo for the blanket revolver or for the air rifle. Money, pieces of gold, because you don't know where you're going ahead, and that way you can take some of your money that probably is vanished in the bank or by devaluation, or how do you say this, when the money is less worth because of the economic situation. Gold always remains a certain value, even perhaps more in certain situation. So that way you can do some bartering, trading, or you can see this as a beginning capital, as a starting capital for a new life, to set up a new life somewhere. So gold, money you will need will be worthless perhaps, but it's always handy to have some. And yet again, a chip with all the documents that I would need, like my ID, a copy of my ID, the deeds from my house, my insurances, my bank account, and all such things. So that's very important that you have this, because paper documents can get wet, destroyed, or tear. So if you're going to, I will put the lights on, I guess. So if you're going to ask us asylum and go to the, how do you say this, to another country to settle, you will need your official documents, and the best way is to keep it in a waterproof case on a chip that will last longer than paper. So very important to have these for trying to build up a new life, to have some starting capital in a way, and your personal information to make the immigration or the asylum process much quicker. Alright. A good knife, like I said, is for long term. So this is one of those Glocks army knives. It is serrated, so you can use it to saw. You can cut with it and use it for several kind of things like crafting skin, cutting meat, doing little building things like cutting wood or something, or make little things, because that's the thing you will need to do for a long-term survival. You will need to take advantage of everything in your surroundings. So if you don't have a table, make a table. If you don't have a fork, make a fork, and you can do this with wood and a piece of tool like this. So it's very handy, and of course for self-defense it's very handy. Yeah. So a very sturdy knife. Always use a full tang if you're going to use something like this. And yeah, you can keep it on your body, but yet again, authorities might not find that appreciating. So yeah, watch out for that. Reserve socks. These are yet again woolen socks. Like I said, these will keep your feet dry even when they are wet by sweat or rain or water puddles. So yeah, and you will need some sturdy woolen socks. Like you can see, these are literally tanks on your feet. These will last for a very long time. They're very thick, but like I said, they will last you a very long time. And you can change, if your socks are wet, you can hang them on your non-com bag and carry the dry one instead and keep it in a way, to change them. Alright, woolen socks, very handy, very important, and see that they are of very good quality. And I'm talking about real wool, by the way. Some reserve clothing, some underpants, some shirts. So have some reserve clothing is what I'm trying to say, because yeah, it's a long-term situation. Your clothing will tear, and you will probably not have the money or the opportunity to buy new clothes in such a scenario. So that's something to watch out for. This is one of my favorites. This is the BioLit stove. Out. I will clap it open so you can perhaps see. Clap it open. Alright, like you can see, you've probably seen this in a few other videos of mine, but it is just a wooden stove. You put pieces of wood or burning materials inside of this. It will start up to burn, and what does it do? The heat that will come will drive this ventilator on, and this ventilator does two things. First of all, it blows air beneath the pit of this fire, so it will be more efficient in using fuel and the warmth and the heat for cooking or keeping it warm. So with less fuel, so that's very good. And the second thing it does is the ventilator is like a dynamo with a battery. So while you're making fire, you can load your electrical devices on. So it's a very good long-term survival thing. So yeah, I very like this, and it's been very handy on hike trips or camping. So the BioLit wood stove is a very durable piece of machinery, um, and it's multifunctional. Alright, we're here. Now we're going to the inside of the bag. Like you can see, it's a very big bag and also a sturdy bag that is comfy, because if I'm going to walk hundreds of kilometers, I want something that will not start to pull or making burning wounds on the straps, with the straps on my shoulders or everything else. So a bag of good quality is of the utmost importance of this, because you will have to go with it a long time. You don't want it to tear, that all your pieces of materials and supplies will fall out. So good quality bag, very important. Don't nibble on that one, because you will regret it certainly. Alright, we go from up to down. Yeah, it's going to be a mess, but this is a cool zero light. I can load this up to my BioLit, or if I don't have that, I can do this. It has an own dynamo, and it's very efficient, very sturdy, very efficient. On the lowest setting, which is this, is a very small light, but on this way it can give light for 400 hours. If you can put it on the biggest thing, this light now both sides lit, only 4 to 8 hours, so that's not much. So always use it in a low setting area. But if you need a stronger light, you can do it, and you can do it on both sides, one side, or a low or high. So depending on the situation, it's a very handy tool. And while you're waiting, doing a break, or before you go to sleep, you can start to use the dynamo to load it up. So yeah, that's a very good investment, and it's a sturdy piece of material. It has not broken yet, even though I have it all these years used, and I use this thing almost daily. Not every day, but I use it a lot in the week for just things around the house. So I'm very happy with this piece with the cool zero light. All right. Yeah, this is more handy for. These are the headlights that you can you can put on your heads if you're going to do some working or repairs in the night, or building shelter, or you need to move. You can put this on your head, and yeah, just look around. You can load it up to the BioLit. And yet again, what's handy about the headlight? You have both of your hands free, so you can build in the night, climb on something, defend yourself with both hands, and even blinding an aggressor. So headlight is a very good tool. Yet again, it must go on for a long time, so do not try to cheap out on this. Do not try to buy the dollar ones, because they will break very easily. This one has not broken yet, so far I'm happy about it, but those things can still change. Alright, yeah, I will go for now. This is just some duct tape. Yeah, duct tape is always handy in every situation. Even though this can be depleted very fast, it's very handy to put down a tear in your clothing, your shelter, your tent, or your bag. So that's very handy for that. It's not long term, but I always like to have a big roll of tape. Use isolation tape that will be more usable with water, moist conditions. I mean, this is just a Canadian Pro water filter. You can put this in moist waters, pump, and you can fill your canteen with drinkable water. I like this. It has helped a lot, but it can filter a lot of water. But you must watch out. You will need reserve filters if you want to do this a very long time. So perhaps have some reserve filters just in case. And yeah, clean water is in any situation very important. But yet again, even if you lose this or it's filled with dirty particles that you cannot use it anymore, there are several ways to filter more water. We think about cooking it with fire, using the shamak to get with dew in the morning and wring it out above your canteen. Or you can use chemical things like bleach to filter purify your water. So yeah, so that's something I forgot to put in here actually. Some tablets with pool shock, which are like chlorine tablets, or can be broken into little pieces, put in your canteen, and used as some sort of a disinfectant and purifier for dirty water. You got to watch out with how much you use with that, but if you use chlorine tablets, it's something you can filter hundreds of thousands of liters of water with. So in long-term situation, chlorine tablets very handy, but you got to watch out that you do not poison or burn yourself with it. Just warnings, it's on your own risk with how much you use of this. All right, next. Yet again, these are some pants, reserve clothing, because yeah, you will need reserve clothing for when you get wet or just because it starts to smell. Yeah, we'll start this. Yet again, light, dynamo, a very sturdy model. Yeah, because in case of the cool zero light breaks, or yeah, these things could happen. So I prefer to have a second light. This is a very small one, but it has a dynamo and it can be useful. So one is non-DC, but in light, in a survival situation, especially long term, have two lights that you can charge up of good quality. This is a mini shovel. You can get this out easily. As you can see, it's one of those collapsible. You need to open this part up. I should have done this before, but like you can see, this is a folding shovel. You can use a trench tool, but that is, yeah, perhaps it's better to use a trench tool, but that will be more weight, and I wanted to keep this compact as possible. But for most things that you need to dig, like a latrine, shelter, or to make a fire pit, this will be sufficient. But a trench tool can be is like a foldable shovel that is bigger and of thicker material, can be more for long-term use. But so far, this would be sufficient, I would say. You can dig it with two hands. You can even use it as a little pickaxe if you hold it like this. I know it's not perhaps that sturdy, but yeah, I should have gone for the trench tool perhaps. But yeah, you can also make mistakes even when you're planning. So some sort of light shovel that you can perhaps hold up. Trench tool, very handy, and also for self-defense. If you don't have a blanket, revolver, airgun, or some other type of self-defense, a trench tool is used by the Marines for close combat with devastating results. So yeah, it's also a good defense. It is another water filter. This is the live straw. You can drink directly from sources with it. Don't forget, and also with the other one, it can only filter bacteria out of the water. It does not filter chemical and viruses. So you need to watch out with this. If you're gonna use this for drinking out of a questionable water source, to say. But yeah, it's always handy. You can purify a lot of. You can drink a lot of water with this one straw. So in long term, it's a handy, very handy option. Survival radio. This is one with hand crank. So yet again, For long-term situation, this is very handy to have listen to some music, or to keep ahead of the news, informed by the news, and you can recharge it, and it has a light. So, and also some solar panels. You can, with this little radio, I can get transmissions from even other countries: England, Spain, France, Italy, Germany, Holland. So with this little thing, I can and receive a lot of information about where I can go or settle in this situation. So very handy. Also, you're probably going to need to cut a lot of wood. So just some handsaw with some good teeth, and you can. And instead of, I would prefer this instead of axe, because this I can make better shelters out of thicker pieces of wood, and make firewood and such, so on a more easy way with less effort. So foldable saw, very important to have. Next, paracord. This is in a total of how much? 15 meters of paracord, and each paracord has like 8 different pieces of rope. So this is a lot of rope for such a small packet. So always use paracord for building shelter, for shoe ties, or for other purposes that you need rope for. So paracord, very important. This is a pen, and this is, like you can perhaps see, a pen with very depth. Why would you want this? Because yeah, it seems a little bit heavy. I would, if I am going to a long-term situation, I want to be able to cook food for bigger meals. Perhaps I caught something with small game, or I want to make soup. I can, in this depth of the pan, I can still cook soup. I can cook rice. I can boil water even, and try to how do you say this? Try to put it in my canteen. So a pan is very multifunctional. You can use iron casts. This is just metal, but yeah, there are more sturdy pans for long-term use, but these are very heavy. So, but I don't have such a thing. So this is just a regular pan, and it will go a long time. I use it in different situations in the outdoors. So just keep watch out that it doesn't rust immediately after so many uses. So with some maintenance, you can use this a long time. What I want to say is, if you're going to use a pen, always have some how do you say this? An iron sponge, a copper sponge. The sponge that is made out of metal that you use to clean a pan with. Very important, because if something is a little bit burnt inside, you don't want to keep using that part, and it will destroy the pan eventually, and the integrity. So have some scouring sponge to always keep it clean. So yeah, a pan, very handy for long-term situations. Don't forget this. All right. Next, a woolen blanket. You've probably heard me praise this thing a lot in previous videos. I will stand by it. The woolen blanket is one of the best survival tools you can have, because sleeping bag can tear easily. It can get wet, and it will lose its ability to keep you warm, even from your sweat or something. And yeah, I don't trust those those can keep you very warm, but once they tear or get wet, you don't stand a chance. You will freeze in the night. With this woolen blanket, I survived a very cold night when I got whole wet. My tent got underwater because of a flood that happened during that hike, and this thing kept me warm all night, even though I was soaking wet. It took the moist from my body, and it still had some isolating properties, and kept me warm. So it's a big blanket. It can stretch out it's now folded in two and then around. So it's a very big blanket. You can use it around you like a sleeping bag. And it's very durable material. and will keep you warm no matter the circumstances. So the woolen blanket some people will not like it because it feels a little bit raw, but I will praise this thing forever. All right, so we got that, the woolen blanket. Very important. You can choose your own thing. You can choose your own thing, but for a long-term survival situation, woolen blanket always my choice. Flip-flops. Yeah, I know it might sound stupid, but if you build a shelter or find an abandoned building, perhaps you find a place where you can stay over. It's very important to you be able to walk around on the floor without making it dirty. Because if I walk all day around in the mud, I don't want to get into my tent, into a certain room to make the place all dirty again. I just want to bathe in the river or something. You can use flip-flops to keep the inside of your shoes clean, and also the room or the place that you want to go on without making your feet cold and wet. So flip-flops, very versatile, and it can save on your shoes, because if you wear your shoes in a long-term situation, every minute of the day, they will tear quickly, and you don't want that. So pack a piece of reserve shoes just for a long-term situation, because shoes will be very expensive in such a disaster, or flip-flops, one of the two. So yeah, just my idea for long-term. Regular first aid kit, but this one is more aimed for long-term. So what can you do with this? First of all, learn about herbal medicines that you can find in your area, plants that you can use instead of certain medications, or pain relief, or for fever, or for health. So knowledge is the best first aid, to say. And I changed all the bandages with reusable bandages, like Israeli bandages, which you can, after you use it, you can cook it in hot water. It kills all the bacteria, and you can roll it up and reuse it again. So that's where the long-term situation. So even first aid, you will need to try to make it last very long. So try to use reusable applications or instruments in your basic first kit. So knowledge about medicine, about plants, medicine, and such, very good to save on the weight and for long-term thinking. All right, we're almost there, I think. We'll put this here. Just on our back. These are just some tools. How do you say it? Some cutlery, a spoon, a knife, a fork that you can fit in this very compact and lightweight way. It has also how do you say this? A can opener and such. So yeah, it can be very important to have some way to eat food. If you got your hands on some cans, you want to cut up some food, you want to eat soup that you made, then you can do this with this. You don't, because people say you don't need these, but I can assure you, if you're gonna cook in the wild, you will not eat soup or eat cooked food with your bare hands. So that's not very efficient, I would say. So yeah, cutlery, very good choice. Nylon thread, like you can perhaps see. This is a lot of thread. So instead of next to the paracord, I have now a way to make shelter with a lot of rope, a lot of piece of thread. So it's very strong, it's very lightweight, and it's a lot on this cloth. So that's very, very good for long-term thinking. And another thing is, if you can see, it's I've also put nails in it. Why nails? If you're gonna build a shelter that's going to be a little bit more permanent, then you're going to need some nails that you can build. It's lightweight, and you can reuse the nails later on. So that's a way of long-term thinking. This is some thread and needle for sewing, so a little sewing kit for when your clothes get teared. Very important for long term. Yeah, a bunch of tea candles, a whole box. It can go a long way, but if you're going to use it as a tundle for making fire, this can go for almost a year if you're going to build a fire every day, if you're just going to use this as a tundle. So tea candles are, if you use them in a certain way, you can last them along. A fire kit, yeah, this has several things: matches, how do you say this? Lighters, and a ferro and a fire steel that you can use the sparks with it. So, of different ways to make fire directly for a quick way, or for like with a fire steel for every day. If you can have spare the time to make a fire for without Ali, that you can use fire steel for many years. Let's say, so that's good for a long-term survival. And it also has a whetstone. The whetstone is also important for sharpening your knife, your saws. Perhaps you brought a hatchet or something. You can cut those. You can sharpen those. And also another thing that I forgot to put in this is a tondeuse or a scissor to cut your hair or your beard for hygienic reasoning. And you can sharpen it with a whetstone. So a scissor or a manual tondeuse can be very hygienic for keeping all the hair a little bit down. Alright, we're almost there, don't worry. This is another whetstone. This is the big whetstone for a long-term use. So I will use this for many years if I would be living outside. Yeah, some tea. This is not for a long-term situation, but this is a bar of soap with glycerin, so it's multifunctional. You can use it to wash your body for hygienic reasons, or you can use it to wash your clothes. So in a long-term survival situation, this sort of soap with glycerin is multifunctional, and because it's a dry bar of soap, it can be used for a very long time instead of fluid kind of soaps. So one or two of those soap bars, and you can wash things for a whole year. So that's a really long term, I would say. Now we're getting to the foods. It's in a protective bag, but one of the first things that's inside of this, yeah, first of all, honey. This is a jar with real honey. Real honey has some properties, some very good properties. It's antibacterial, it's good sugar. You can use it on wounds, to close off wounds as an antiseptic. So real honey, always have it. You can have a way of keep your sugar your sugar level high for a very long time if you use this in small bits for a long time. So honey, and it will never go bad, which is also a good thing. Next thing, salt. Yeah, why salt, you would ask? Salt, you can use it for cooking, to keep your electrolytes, because you're going to up level, because you're going to walk a long time. Perhaps in summer you will sweat a lot and you will lose salt out of your body. Salt which you cannot replenish that easily with the salt you get from perhaps your filtered water or food that you find in the area. So a package of salt is very important to stay alive in a long-term situation if it's hard to get, like salt you would not find here in Belgium. Some vitamins, because in a long-term situation you will probably have a one-size diet and you will not get all your nutrition. So perhaps get some vitamin pills for that you can regularly take in all your nutritions. So that's something for a long-term thinking situation, that you will not be malnourished. And as last thing, 2 bags. There's another one, but 2 bags of rice. These are each 2 kilograms, and with these, I can, if I ration it, I can survive on it with these for like between 3 and 4 months on these 2 bags of rice. Yeah, it doesn't sound that long, but if you're going to for a long-term situation, this is a very good beginning, I would say. And if you're going with a bug-out bike or a cart, you can take a lot of rice with you, and you can even have food for a whole year, and even perhaps to share with other persons or for bartering during your bug-out. That you will never return from. So rice is a very good in calories for its weight. So and it will never go bad if you store it correctly. All right. Yeah. So this was the non-com bag, or also named the refugee bag. If you never will return home and you will need to settle somewhere else. I will hope I will never have to use this, but it's just a simple idea for people who live in an area that is perhaps prone for such a disaster that could potentially happen in the future. I hope you got some ideas from it. You learned something from it. Leave a like, subscribe if you want. It would be I would very much appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And thank you for watching. Bye.